everybody, Stacy here with another one of our pitch hacks of the week this week. If you haven't been with us before, we cover tips and tricks on pitching, pitch decks, sales decks, investor decks, and live presentations. So what that means is if you're a startup looking for funding or an established company looking for new customers, maybe you're even in an accelerator or an incubator program, all of you guys can find value in our pitch hacks here. So let's hop right into it. What's this week's pitch hack of the week? This week we have how not to freeze on stage. Stage fright. Very, very scary. All of us have experienced stage fright, either in watching somebody have stage fright or in ourselves having stage fright and freezing up on stage. It's a very, very scary part of presenting. When you get up in public and you speak, it's very scary. In fact, 2/3, I believe it is, of Americans have stage fright or public speaking as one of their biggest fears. And what that means is that people are very, very much afraid to stand up in front of other people and talk. And yet, we have so many opportunities both in the pitching and startup world, as well as when you're presenting to potential clients, as well as in events, conferences, all these sorts of things, to actually be up in front of people and talking. And that means a lot of those people are very, very scared of doing it when they're doing it. Some of them you can tell, and some of them you can't. Stage fright and freezing up on stage is a big fear of many people's when they go to present. So what I want to talk about today is how not to freeze, and also a little bit to a new way to think about it so that you don't get quite so afraid of freezing up on stage. So first of all, what I want you to think about is why you're going up and presenting and why the audience is there to listen to you. This is a very important thing to think about. It's not going to help you not freeze per se, but it might help you to have a little bit less nerves and to not freak out as much when you start to get a little bit frozen and tripped up on stage. So let's think about the next time you're going up to present, okay? And you're going up to present and you're going to do it in front of an audience. They have shown up for a reason to hear you, right? Let's say it's a keynote speech at a trade show, okay? They've shown up to hear you. They read the abstract for the keynote speech. They saw your name. They knew you were an expert in your industry. They wanted to come and listen and get more information from the various presenters here at this conference. They're there for something. They're there for the information that you're sharing, for the value they're going to get out of it, and the way that they're going to be able to take what you've told them back to their own companies and improve them or do something different in their own lives. So let's think about them when we're thinking about the next time we're pitching. So we think a little bit too much about ourselves. We think about our own fear of being up there, our own fear of not knowing what we're going to say next, our own fear of looking like an idiot, our own fear of not having something to say and how that's going to play out in the rest of the presentation. We have a lot of this fear and anxiety that's all very focused on ourselves. It's very focused on how we look to the outside world, what we're going to get out of it, what people are going to think about us. One of the things to do to combat stage fright and to prevent, freezing on stage is to think about your audience. They came there for a reason. They're there to get value. Focus on that. Focus on giving them value and on that being a positive experience, right? Don't think about a positive experience being remembering your lines and saying everything you're supposed to say in the order you're supposed to say it in. That's not a positive experience. That's not the positive outcome out of this presentation that you want. The positive outcome out of this presentation that you want is to be successful and to provide them the information that they're looking for, to make them happy, to give them value. So focus on your audience. That's going to help with the freezing. Another thing to think about when we're thinking about going up on stage and how to prevent stage fright is when you start to get into that stage fright feeling. So we're on the stage and we're talking and we're getting a little bit tripped up and we're not quite sure what we're going to say next. Just know that your audience is rooting for you to succeed. Imagine the last time you've been in the audience and you saw somebody tripping up. You're not sitting there in the audience going, mess up, yeah, ha ha ha. You're not at all, not even a little bit. Maybe if you're in stand-up. But in regular daily life, you're not hoping the person messes up. You're actually the exact opposite. You're like, please remember your line, keep going. I don't want you to feel like that. I don't want you to feel that fear. So when you're on the other end of that spectrum and you're on the stage and you're getting a little bit tripped up, just breathe for a second, just pause. There's no reason to talk and use up the entire, space that you're speaking. Just give it a pause. And then just remember what the next thing is that we want to convey to our audience. It's okay to pause, take that second to recollect ourselves. Don't be fearful of pausing, right? Don't spend the time in that pause thinking about how you don't have anything to say right now. Instead, think about, what am I really trying to convey to my audience? Really get that flow back. And a third way I really, really, really want you to use to combat stage fright is to practice. One of the best ways to prevent freezing on stage is practicing. Just make sure you practice, and you practice it in a couple ways. Make sure you practice in front of the kind of audience that you're going to be pitching or presenting in front of. You want to make sure you get as close to the real life situation as possible and really get those nerves flowing and present through it. Get those nerves, the real ones, happening, and then flow through it and figure out how to present through it and how to remember what you're saying through it, and to feel comfortable in that mode of having all that anxiety and energy and adrenaline rushing through your system. It's a very unique place to be in. It's why people have this fear of stage fright, is that all that rush of adrenaline that happens when you get up on stage and in front of people. And so what you want to do is make sure that you practice with that adrenaline so you can figure out how to be in that state of high adrenaline and still be successful. So practice, 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 super, super important. We talk about it all the time here in Pitch Hacks. Make sure you practice. So hopefully that helps you guys to not freeze the next time you are on stage. We do new pitch hacks every single week, so give us a little thumbs up or subscribe, and you can find out about our new pitch hack videos coming out next week. If you have any thoughts on stage fright or freezing on stage, maybe give us a little story of a time you froze, maybe how you got through it. We'd love to hear about it in the comments below. If you have any ideas for upcoming pitch hacks, I would love to hear about it as well. There's a link down below to submit your ideas for next week. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Stacy with Pitch Tech Fire, and I hope to see you guys here again soon. Happy pitching!